Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I want to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about the last few days here, and that is the crafting system made in Dragonflight, and why I think it's been a huge success, and we're going to talk about that. Not that it's perfect, but just in general, we're especially focused on the social aspect of it. So the last few days I've been playing Season of Discovery on the classic era or whatever, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I do think that in some ways the whole social aspect of classic is a little bit overstated. Not that it doesn't exist, just it's not like every group you join is talkative and are friends forever. In fact, that's very rare to happen. Of course, if you're a very social person, then of course you can make every group a social group that you join. But generally speaking, there are social interactions, but they're kind of few and far between, and a lot of times the interactions you have are just purely saying your class and spec to join group, and then maybe saying something about polling, like don't walk up there, you might poll or something like that, right? But those actual interactions, the good interactions do happen, and even typing out not to poll or mark something or sheep something, that is an interaction. So when we go back to Dragonflight here into retail WoW, I was thinking about how outside of your guild, you might not have a ton of interactions. For Mythic Plus, there certainly is that same opportunity as there is in Classic as far as forming a group, because that's how you have to form a group. And there often needs to be some sort of communication within your Mythic Plus group if you run on a high enough key. But the crafting system in particular, this is a kind of like a marriage of two things. So early in this week, I was thinking of how awesome this crafting system is, and then playing Season of Discovery with the whole perception of social interactions in Classic, kind of just melded this together. It made me realize how cool this system has been. Now, for me personally, I'm a crafter, right? So I'm gonna think of it a little bit differently than someone who's not a crafter. So I've probably done somewhere between 500 and 1,000 crafting orders that are not public orders. I have it on public orders right now. So personal, I would say between 500 and 1,000 personal orders on the crafting system. I don't know if there's a way to check that or not, of only personal orders, meaning just coming from strangers or whatever. And I've had so many great interactions, and I don't think I personally have had any bad interactions. Although maybe I have, but nothing that comes to mind, so certainly not too bad. And for me, it's actually quite delightful in some ways because, especially at the beginning of a patch, right, when everyone's trying to get their gear crafted, if you want to, you could sit, if you're a crafter, you could sit in Veldraken for like an hour straight and just do crafting orders the whole time. Especially, at least for blacksmithing, that's how it is for sure. And each person I talk to, we might ask what the price. The person might ask me how the crafting system works, what they need to provide, what rank materials they need to provide, what they're looking for and stuff like that. So in some ways I'm like helping people. Sometimes I'm just crafting the item. Sometimes people are pumped because I give them a price that's lower than what they think. Sometimes people are just very, very boring or bland or whatever. But I say, like, have a nice day. And they're like, thanks, I really appreciate that, because maybe they needed someone to tell them to have a nice day that day or something like that. And I know if you're not a crafter yourself and you only, your only interaction is maybe crafting for, a handful of things every patch. So you only have maybe 15 interactions. That's still something, right? That's still something. But I understand if you don't have like the same feeling that I have as the crafter, having hundreds, if not up to 1,000, and it could be much more if I wanted to just sit here and craft. All these interactions, and like I said, most of them are so positive. And so because of this interaction, I really hope, I know they're planning on keeping the system going. They designed it for a long-term evergreen. We saw them take a little bit of a step back in this patch as far as power, with embellishments and the item level going down a little bit. I'm not like I said at the very beginning, I'm not against iteration on the system, especially for power level reasons, but I don't want to see it just go down to being this weak thing, because the power does matter, because it makes more people want to use it for the power, right? If having embellishments at all are going to make the sweatiest players want to use them, for sure. just having them exist, and they don't have to be hyper powerful. But I would hate to see them completely go away from it, or lower the item level too much, because at that point, then you're going to see such a reduced amount of people that get it, because people are not going to. The most sweaty players are going to have all the best gear, so they're not going to wear the crafted gear if it's too low item level. And then the other people who like want to kind of be like sweat players, even if they aren't the pro players or whatever, they're gonna kind of hold off and be like, well, I'll eventually get my myth track legs. I'm not gonna craft legs. That's just a waste, and because there's that intermediate layer of players as well. But right now, you have the most top players, the very tippy top players crafting gear, at least for the embellishments. And then you have like that next level people crafting gear. And then you also have even lower levels of player crafting gear, because they can get super high item level gear from crafting, right? And so you have all these people using the system. I would love to see, like I said, just in my small experience, I've serviced so many people with blacksmithing that I would love to see how many crafting orders are done. It has to be a monumental amount. The public system obviously needs work in some ways, like the prices on this and people not providing mats. I mean, they put the thing in that says, hey, they didn't provide mats. Are you sure you want to do this? And I think that's great. But like there needs to be some sort of a price point or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like people don't really understand how it works. And then also I think sometimes crafters can be even too nice and fulfill an order just to fulfill an order, maybe because they have just millions and millions of gold or something. And it kind of like ruins the whole pricing situation of it. Nor on the other side of it, nor do I think that the prices should be monumentally high. I know my prices are typically really low because I have plenty of artisan's metal. Now, especially at the beginning of the expansion, when artisan's metal was not in plentiful supply, prices were a bit high. Sometimes even I charged what I would consider a high price, because I didn't have much insights to guarantee max crafts. And then now I have tons. Basically, I didn't do a ton of crafting last season. I did a lot in season 1. I did a lot in season 3 so far. But yeah, I'm all for iterations. I'm all for ideas of iterations. But definitely, like, if this was a message to Blizzard, I would say keep this crafting system and please keep it strong. Keep it needed, because as long as the top players are doing it and like saying how important it is to do, then the next level players are going to do it, and then it's going to encourage lower players, like a player who might barely step into heroic raid, right, who might pug a few bosses in heroic raid, and there's lots of those people, right? They do LFR, maybe they do a normal run, and maybe they want to step into a pug heroic or something like that, or maybe they don't, maybe they just do normal. But they can, here and there, fight and claw and obtain enough aspect crests to get an enchanted one, and then get a super high level piece of gear. And that's really cool for those type of players. I know when I was a casual player, because I was very casual in the middle of World of Warcraft, basically from Kata to Warlords, I was really casual. And, for me, that would have been super exciting to be able to, because I was skilled enough and good enough and liked gear enough to want to push, to be like, ooh, there's a nice piece of gear I can get, and I don't have to like commit to a raid and do this hard raiding or anything. That would be really cool for me. Even if I had one piece like that or two pieces like that, that would have been really cool for me, and I imagine that's how other people feel as well. And all they have to do is grind enough to get that one enchanted aspect crest, and then they can get a really, really cool piece of gear. So I want to see this system obviously continue, which I know it's going to, but I just you got to keep it strong. You cannot nerf it down, because it's not going to be used as much anymore. In that case, it's going to be used for niche things. It's going to be used because like one random item is strong, and so then a certain class or spec uses that one item. I don't want to see it go that way. There's certainly things you can do. I think lowering the item level a little bit this patch was a very good idea. I would say even just capping the number of crafted pieces you could wear at like 4 or something like that, instead of having like everything crafted like everyone had in season 2 at least. If not season 1, I can't remember. Well, season 1 had the very rare items everywhere, like rings and stuff. But yeah, so you know, you maybe have the total number of crafted items. You can get rid of embellishments, but you cap the total number of items instead of like capping 2 embellishments. You know, whichever way you decide to go with it, just make sure that you're keeping the gear strong. Make sure it's at least 2 pieces that you can have on that are very strong. And I would say, you know, I would say probably at least 3 or 4 personally, to just make sure the system is operating really at a high frequency or whatever. But yeah, I don't have all the answers myself. You know, I don't have all the data or anything like that. I just know that this system's really cool. It provides a unique social interaction that you don't find a lot in retail WoW. And you know, I just love that myself. I love making someone else's day, and I love when someone else makes my day. And that's really, really cool to have from your video game. And that's something that definitely happened more often in the past than what it does now. But it still can happen. I am proof of that. So that's it for this one, guys. Like I said, this kind of video is kind of for Blizzard in a way. Just kind of wanting to give feedback on this system. But as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.